Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Say, what do you call an amazing day in the mountains? A peak experience. Today, we're going to look at Set a Watch, Swords of the Coin by Rock Manor Games. Set a Watch, Swords of the Coin is a 1 to 4 player cooperative puzzle adventure game. Now, this is a standalone expansion to the core game of Set a Watch, where you're basically trying to defeat the acolytes and prevent the unhallowed scourge from coming across the land. So what I'm going to do, let's go down to the table. I'm going to explain how to play this game, show you what the difference is between this one and the original Set a Watch, what changes they made, and after that I'll come back up and give you my final thoughts. In Set a Watch, Swords of the Coin, the game is basically set up and played exactly like the original Set a Watch. I have the game set up right here. I'm just going to kind of highlight really fast how to set it up, just because I've kind of detailed it in my original Set a Watch, which you can go watch if you need to. But I just kind of want to point out some things. We basically have our location deck with our tower on the end. We've got our 1 card flipped up. Now, we have a merchant board, which is new to this particular game. The merchant board is going to start on the table. You're going to have 6 cards face up on it. You got a deck of new items that are going to show up right there. And then you're also going to notice on camp, you're going to have these little coin symbols. So you're going to place a coin on each one of those. All right. The creature deck is set up. Now the creature deck, it's going to have the number of summon cards that you want to put in it based on the difficulty level. And you're going to have your couple acolytes that are going to be in it. They're going to be evenly distributed between a number of decks and 28 cards. You're going to shuffle those, you're going to stack them up, and you're building your creature deck. You got your Unhallowed deck, which the top card is going to be here, and you always see what next Unhallowed is going to come in, so the Horde's already got its 1 card. And you got all of your characters. Your characters are already set up. You got 4 of them. You always have to play with 4. They always start randomly with 2 skill cards that are active and 1 that's inactive. Okay, so that's already done. And then you got the other ones off to the side. That's the setup of the game. Now, the way the game is going to be played, it's exactly the same as Set a Watch. The only difference is there's a merchant phase, and that merchant phase is going to go between the camp phase and the watch phase. So camp phase is exactly the same. You're going to pick 1 character. He's going to go to camp. Okay, so he's going to be out of the watch when it comes time, but he's going to be able to use his dice to be able to manipulate the camp. Okay, now when they go to camp, they're going to get a token saying they've been there once. Remember, every character has to camp 2 times, no exceptions. So if you get down to the end of the game and, say 3 of these characters have camped twice a piece, and say, for example, this artificer here has never camped once, he's camping twice in a row, you just don't get a choice about it. Once they camp twice, they can never camp again. Now, the dice are going to be used to manipulate the board. Whenever you put a dice somewhere where there's a coin, that character is going to be able to get that coin, and he can use it to buy something from the merchant. Okay. So that's basically how that's going to work. Now, the abilities you're going to get is you can scout ahead. Now, every dice you use here has to be larger than the next. So if I used a 4, in this case, I have 3 4s, which is amazing. I couldn't do this again because this would have to be a 5, and then this would have to be larger, but you could do it once. Now, scout ahead is going to allow you to look at the top 2 cards of the creature deck and put them back either on the top or the bottom. All right. You can chop firewood. You can put up to 3 dice there. All right. And they can all be the same, higher or lower, it doesn't matter. Every time you chop firewood, you're going to be able to move the fire up twice, 2 spaces for each dice that's placed there. You have to use a 6 only to heal. Heal is going to allow you to be able to take one of your exhausted cards, flip it over. You can equip. All right, any dice can use for equip. Equip's going to allow you to be able to exchange out one of your skill cards with one of the cards on your board. Now remember, if a card is already exhausted, when you swap it out, the new card that comes in will be exhausted. You can check the map. It takes a 4 or higher to do that, which means you're going to look at the top card of the location deck that's in the box and the top card here, figure out which one you want to go to next, put it on top, put the other one on the bottom of the deck. Okay. And that's your camp. Now, the last thing you can do is you can do the runes. So if you have a pair or 3 of a kind, they all have to be the same numbers when you do this. okay, you can put a dice up here, and you have 3 different actions you can do on these particular runes. You can do a seal, which means you can, if you have an unhallowed card. So remember, all of these cards, these are what you mainly, the bad guys you really don't want to fight because they're tough. They're all unhallowed. If you have any unhalloweds in your graveyard, which are going to be face up in your discard pile, basically, you can put a dice there to remove him from the game. So you don't have to ever see him again. You can put another dice there, and then what you can do is you can vanquish, which means you can actually go into the horde, take the top card, which we always know the top card is always an unhallowed, and you can remove him from the game as well. Okay, so it's a way to keep that horde down. Remember that very last turn of the game, everything in the horde is going to add to your creature line. The last thing you can do, if you put a 4th dice there, you can do what's called a bolster. Bolster means everybody that's going to be able to do a watch action, that's going to be going out and fight, they can re-roll any of their dice. So if you know that some characters have really bad rolls, that's a good one to do, because then they can re-roll any of those dice, but they have to take whatever the dice roll is after that. Okay, and that's going to be the camp action. That's all the different things that you're going to be able to do at camp. Now, after the camp action, you're going to do a merchant phase. Now, if you have any money, okay, so if you've gotten any of these coins, then what you can do is you can spend coins and you can buy any of these cards. The lower right-hand corner tells you how many cards or what the cost is going to be, okay? Now, if any of these cards do get purchased, for example, then you would take a card and you would just replace it. Now, if none of those cards got purchased, then you draw another card, okay, figure out what it is, and you can actually put it over the top of another card. So if a card gets purchased, that other card's still going to be down there at the bottom, and you're going to be able to see what it is. Then once that's done, what you're going to do is you're going to look over here on your camp, and all these locations that have coins or spots with coins, if there's no dice, okay, on them, then what you're going to do is you're going to put another coin on them. So this is a way that later on down the line, you're actually going to be able to get more coins. Okay, but say for example, you know, this character just did this because he didn't want to do a seal, so he put that 4 there, he moved this up 2, he ended up taking this 1 coin, okay, this would now get nothing because there's a dice there, so no coin's going to go in its place. All right, and that's right there, that's going to be your the merchant action. Once the merchant action is done, then we're going to go to the watch phase. Okay, now the watch phase, camp's done, and the hunter is now technically going to be done for the rest of this particular round. I'm going to move this out of the way, because what we're going to do now is we're going to go after the creature row. So you're going to look at your location card. We know we got to reveal 8 characters or 8 creatures, and then we have this ability. So basically this says is during the watch phase, 1 adventurer may defeat 1 revealed creature. When this happens, minus X fire, where X is equal to the creature's damage. So whatever is the creature's damage in the upper left-hand corner, we're going to lose on some fire, but we can actually defeat one character or creature, which is really nice. Okay, so we know it's 8. So what we're going to do, let's move these out of the way a little bit. We're going to put out our 8 cards. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, now we have the row, and we're going to go left to right in this particular row. Some people like to go top to bottom. I like to do it like this. It's just easier for me. You look at the fire. We can reveal 2 creatures in the line. You always start with the first one. You flip it over, and you look and see if it has a revealed effect. Okay, or even in this case, it's an ongoing effect. So the ongoing effects are going to tell you what's going to happen as long as that character's there. The reveal effect happens as soon as you flip it over. Since we can reveal 2, now we're going to reveal the second one. So both of these have ongoing effects. Okay, so we just have to make sure that we pay attention to their abilities, and we utilize their abilities during the particular round. Now, the goal of every particular round is to try to use your dice to defeat every creature in the line. Whatever creatures are not defeated, you're going to notice in the upper left-hand corner, they're going to do damage. However many creatures are left, you're going to look at all that damage, and then whatever characters didn't camp, whatever ones were on watch, which would be these 3, are going to have to exhaust some of their ability cards equal to the damage the creatures do. If ever all of the characters have all of their abilities exhausted, game's over, you lose. Okay, so that's one way that you're going to lose the game. Now, what you have to do, this is where the puzzle comes in. You have to try to figure out the best way to utilize your dice to attack and defeat the creatures, and use your ability and skill cards. So sometimes your skill cards are going to work in conjunction with other characters, and you have to just you have to find that puzzle and the best way to kind of defeat things. Now, characters are all going to have, like in this case, ranged, or in this case, melee. These 2 are ranged. Okay, if they're melee, they can only direct attack the character in the first row. If they're ranged, they can do the first 2. Okay, now you can either do direct damage or you can do your cards. Direct damage basically just means that you're taking a one of your characters is taking one of his dice, and he's just going to put that dice on that creature. All right, that dice will be exhausted. Creature goes to the graveyard, and he's done. Okay. Then what would happen is you flip over the next card. He's got to reveal still the highest available spent dice, and its value is going to be go to his health. So we'll say we'll just do that. So we know he's an 11 to attack right now. Okay. So you're going to keep going with direct damage if you have to. Now, the way the cards and abilities work, some of them are passive abilities. You're just going to let you do it. Like this one here's got a passive ability. Other abilities, you have to use a dice. Okay, so I can put a dice on this and I can use that ability. Now, if I want, I can also exhaust it to use that ability a second time, but then again, it's exhausted. Okay. Now, one of the ways, and I forgot to mention this, one of the ways that you can unexhaust these is when you camp. So like, for example, the hunter, when he went to camp, the first thing they get to do is they get to unexhaust one of their cards. So that's how you're going to get them back. So we know the barbarian is definitely going to want to camp because he's going to want to get at least one of these back. And you can also heal if you hopefully have a 6 or higher, or a 6, and you can try to get that second one. Okay. Now, every character is going to do things just a little bit different. Okay. You're going to notice they'll have a camp ability down here. So technically you could take a dice and you can put the dice down here to use their camp ability. Okay. But the other thing is their special abilities are all going to work a little bit different. Now, for example, the barbarian, I could not have put a dice on here to do this ability, because one of the special abilities of the barbarian is he can't use dice on his cards. He just has to exhaust them to use their ability. Everybody else can, and they do things a little bit differently. Now the witch sometimes use the dice on her cards, and then it's going to act and react a little bit different. But they all can basically do that. So like he could put a dice here, he can use this ability, and then he can, if he wanted to, he can exhaust it, use that ability again. Okay. So the game and the round is going to keep going until all of the characters have exhausted all of their dice. Okay. And all of the creatures are either all fully defeated or there's 1 or 2 left. Now, if there's any left, what you're going to do is you're going to total up all the damage they're going to do in the upper left-hand corner. So if there's multiple, you'll total them all up. And between all the characters that did go on watch, they have to exhaust a card. Okay. And then the creatures are going to go on the top of the horde. So you're always going to know what is going to be in the horde. And remember, that's all coming back at the end. So I know if it's a really weak creature, I may not care to do a rune action in camp to get rid of them. But then again, I may want to because I don't want that many more creatures coming out. Okay. So the round's going to keep going and going and going. Every round, you're going to send someone to camp. Okay. And you're going to be fighting characters or creatures. Now, what's going to happen is at the very last round of the game, okay, you are going to be at the tower. Okay, remember there's 2 towers in the game. You're either randomly doing it or picking which one it is, but you're going to be going to the tower. The tower is going to tell you how many creatures are coming out. It's going to tell you how far the campfire is going to go down. So in this case, it would actually go down 2. But the difference between this last round is none of the characters are going to go to watch, but you're going to set out all of your cards like before, all of your creatures. Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in this case. All right. And you're going to take all the characters from the horde and you're going to put those on the end of the line. So in this case, we have, say, 10. Our camp's still at 2. So we'll reveal 1. It's an ongoing. We're going to reveal another. It's still an ongoing. Okay. And you're going to play this round, but this time you get to do all 4 of your characters because it's a little bit more. Now, at this point, what you have to do is you have to either complete all or kill all of the characters in this row, or be able to take the damage at the very end. So, say for example, we end up killing all of this. Okay, let's get them out of there. We have these 2 left. We're looking at them. They have 2 hits. Say the barbarian totally exhausts himself. He's looking like this. All right. And say we're looking like this. All right. Now, in this case, we've done everything we can. We've spent all our dice. And we're looking to see how much damage is going to happen. 2 points is going to come down. For every point of damage, just like before, you have to exhaust a card. So in this case, all right, the witch was going to exhaust this card here, and the hunter is going to exhaust this card here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look. If everything is exhausted the way it looks right now, you lose, okay? But if one character, and all you need is one character, has one ability that's not fully exhausted, you will win. Set a watch, Swords of the Coin. All right. That's basically how to set up, how to play the game. I know it was kind of a really quick high level, But let's go back up top, and I will give you my final thoughts on this game. All right, so what do I think about Set a Watch Swords of the Coin? You know, I love this game. So the core game of Set a Watch, I really enjoy that game. It's fun, it's fast, it's a really, really good, intriguing puzzle. Swords of the Coin, oh my gosh, this is hard. I mean, I thought Set a Watch was hard. Wow, this game here, to me, this one is quite a bit harder. Maybe I need to go back and I need to watch or play the core original game one more time, but this game just seems like the creatures have so many more ongoing effects. Those ongoing effects just seem to murder me every single time I play the game. I find this one to be harder. Do I find it to be more fun? I kind of do. You know what? Some of the witch ability is really, really cool. I mean, I like how the witch can sit there and she can send her familiar after creatures in a row. It can be exhausted, but you can flip it, use an ability, flip that familiar card to its other side and then reattack with it. Okay, so you can, you have to learn how to play the different characters to where you can try to maximize what they're going to be able to do with their stuff. The barbarian is super, super tough, but he can only use his abilities 3 times and he's exhausted. Okay, so you have to be really careful with the barbarian on how he's going to play. Every other character is going to be able to use their abilities with a dice and then use their abilities again. Barbarian doesn't have that luxury, but he's so much fun to play. And being able to roll those 12-sided dice is just huge. In the original game, if I remember right, it was just 6-sided dice and 8-sided dice, I think, if I remember correctly. So this one's actually really cool. The fact that the witch has 4-sided dice, which are just, oh my gosh, trying to do direct damage with the witch, yeah, it's not really going to happen very much. But the barbarians will roll in 12-sided dice. So if you get nothing but 10s, 11s, and 12s, you're just going to wreak havoc on those high-level, high hit point characters. So you can just do a ton. It's just absolutely fantastic. Now the merchant board on this, I know I didn't cover the merchant board too much. I just kind of highlighted it, but the merchant board is actually really cool because, when you look at, some of the cards and stuff that you can actually get, some of them are going to be able to, hey, you got this card, you can discard this card, you're going to add some to the fire. You're going to be able to take creatures that are in the line and you can kind of move them around. There's so many different things you can do. There's, some of them are going to have additional passive abilities. They're going to do stuff. They're going to help you out every turn. If I remember right, I think every character can have, I think, up to 3 of those cards. But it's just, they're going to help you out. So you have to look at those, pay attention to those, and figure out which cards from the merchant are going to benefit the different characters the most. Okay. Just because those cards will really play into the character's abilities. Now, there's 2 other characters that come in the game. There's a heretic, and then there's the monk. Okay, they're both melee as well. So they're just like the melee, the barbarian, but they're only getting 6-sided dice. So he would be the replacement on the 6-sided dice for the artificer. Okay. Now, the Artificer is really cool because the Artificer's staff is, it can be really super powerful. You could be expending charges on this so that you can actually do a whole bunch of damage to somebody, but then you got to make sure that you hopefully have some of its ability cards or something so you can actually try to get that back up and punch those back a little higher. Now, the Hunter is just like, I can't remember what the character is in the core game, but he can actually get trophies. And so he can utilize his trophies to either replace creatures in the line, help them do damage. So it's just different things. So there's so much to this game. This video would be 4 times longer if I went into every one of these characters and tried to explain them all. I just kind of wanted to give you a highlight of how it plays. But for me, this is a fantastic game. It's a super small box. Everything fits in the main box. The main box has a magnet lid on it. It's also the camp. So that's all you're doing is you're just packing around this small box. If I go on trips or something like that, I can easily throw this in my bag. It doesn't take up a whole lot of space on the table. I can set this game up in like 5 minutes. I can play this game in 45 minutes to an hour. A little bit longer if I'm having a really hard time thinking or I'm just getting murdered by all the different creatures or it's coming out really, really tough. But it's not a real hard game to play. And like I said, it sets up fast, it plays fast, it tells a great story, it is fun, and it is hard. So if you like games that are difficult and you really got to think, this is a great game to add to the collection. Now, I have only played this game solo, just so you know. And it plays, like I said, up to 4 people can play it. I don't know if I'd ever want to play this 4-player. It may not be too bad, but what's going to happen is a couple different turns. If you're just doing camp, you're not going to be able to participate in the watch. So you're not going to be able to go out there and fight. It's only going to be 2 rounds. That's going to happen, but still, you're just going to watch while everybody does stuff. And the camp actions, honestly, the camp actions really only take a minute. I mean, you're done with camp really, really fast. It's almost pretty obvious what you need to do when you camp for the most part. Now, when you are playing multiplayer, what you kind of want to do is before you send someone to camp, you kind of want to talk, discuss, figure out how what's going on, and what you want to try to accomplish that particular turn before you send someone to camp. Now, as a 2-player game, each person would take control of 2 characters. So, you're always going to have either 1 or 2 going. So you're always going to be able to participate throughout the entire game, no matter what. So I'm totally cool with 2 players. But to me, this is a great solo game. This is a great 2-player game. I would play it at 4. To me, the downtime wouldn't be so bad, because if I was the one that went to camp, I would be all over trying to help everybody else and trying to figure out what to do. And it would be fun. So I think I'm actually rambling at this point. So what do I think? Yeah, I think this is a hit. I think this is a fantastic game. Is it better than the original? Yes, I think it's better than the original. Should you get the original? Or should you get this if you have the original? I would say yes. And the reason is because you can take 100% of this and you can mix it with 100% of the original game. You can combine them all together and you just basically have one big giant game, or you can keep them separate. Me, at this point, I'm going to keep them separate, but I think at some point in time, I'm going to mix these things up and I'm just going to have a big old heyday, have all kinds of fun, and it's just going to be a whole lot of carnage and fun. So there you go. That is Set a Watch, Swords of the Coin by Rock Manor Games. I hope this helps. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. We please ask that you leave a comment for us here on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on X, and also on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We also please ask that you like and subscribe to us on all of those platforms. And also, ladies and gentlemen, if you find the content here that we provide is helpful in any way, we humbly ask that you leave a tip. So I got some advice for you. If you ever decide that you want to go camping in the Andes, I highly recommend that you dress warm. I hear it's chilly.
Join the Superhero Registration Act. Never. Don't do drugs.